This
gonna
conference
say.
will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to do quick introductions. We're back to all online meetings right now. So with us tonight, we have Councillor Shane Pelletier,
Hey.
Councillor Janine Boulanger,
Good evening.
Councillor Ron Mamchuk,
Good evening.
Councillor Curtis Clayton.
Hello, I'm the one without the video camera.
There he is. And we have from administration, our Assistant CEO in the background, Dominic Lemoine. And then our CEO, you can barely hear her, but she's there. And then our CAO, Mitch Duval.
Evening.
And I am Mayor Chris Ewan, and we are going to start the meeting. So just so everyone's aware, the way we're doing this is we're voting through an online vote casting system, so you won't see any hands raised, but we will vote, and then the CEO will read out the votes. So I will start the meeting. I'll call the meeting to order. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Councillor Mamchuk moves it, second by Councillor Pelletier, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, please cast your vote. Actually, sorry, before we do that, I'd like to just switch things up and we'll go right to the public hearings if the rest of council is okay with that, and then we'll do regular business and everything else after, so the good people of Richshot and area can go home.
Okay.
Council's okay with that?
Yes.
After adoption of agenda, right?
Yes, after adoption of the agenda, yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor Pelletier. Okay, please cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, we open the meeting at 7:02 p.m. Moving on to item 2, adoption of the agenda. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Boulanger.
Second?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Councillor Mamchuk, thank you. Okay, as I said, we'll be moving on straight to public hearings after this item. Any further changes, edits?
None here.
Okay, cast your vote.
It's Councillor Clayton. I'm unable to vote, but I vote in favor.
Thank you. Therefore, that is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item 6.1.1 V12-2020, Greg and Loris Enns, 1919 LeBlanc Road.
The application is for Greg and Loris Enns at 1919 LeBlanc Road. It is to vary the minimum required east side yard from 15 feet to 6 feet for the purpose of building a detached garage. Notices were sent to surrounding properties as per the Municipal Act, also sent to the McDonald-Richot Planning District, the Public Works Manager, Building Inspector, Council, Fire Chief, as well as posted on site on our municipal board and municipal website. And we did not send anything through the Connect system for this time.
Thank you very much. I'll open the public hearing at 7:04 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone online wishing to speak in favor? Anyone in council wishing to speak in favor?
We're Greg and Loris. I don't know if that includes us or not.
Yeah, that includes you, absolutely. If you're wishing to speak, if you don't want to, you don't have to, but if you do have something to say, feel free.
Sure. We were, the reason we were wanting to move it back is the way the yard is laid out and the driveway that's there already. If we want to push it back to 6 feet off the line so that when you back the vehicles out of the garage, they'll be on the driveway. If we push it too far into the yard, we would have to rearrange the whole driveway setup the way it's set up right now.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any questions or comments for Greg or Loris?
Not here.
No? Okay, thank you too. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor in council or online?
None here.
Thank you. Anything received in favor?
We received one email from Vern and Lori Peters, Golden Sunset Farms. We support the proposal.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone wishing to speak against online? Anyone wishing to speak against in person?
No, there is not.
Thank you. Okay, anything received against?
Nothing received against.
Thank you. I'll give it one last call. Anyone wishing to speak in favor, against, or general comments or concerns? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 7:06 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk?
Councillor Mamchuk moves it, second by Councillor Pelletier.
The resolution would read, therefore be it resolved that variation application V12-2020 be approved with the following conditions. Number one, applicant must obtain a building permit for the garage from the Arm of Rechat office. Two, that the applicant must include architectural plans and foundation details as requested by the Arm of Rechat building inspector. And three, that the variation V12-2020 must be approved to obtain a building permit approval for the proposed location of the detached garage.
Thank you very much. I'll open up for council discussion. Any comments, concerns?
Nothing here.
Thank
No
you.
concerns here.
No.
Okay, I will call for the question on item 6.1.1. So sorry, go ahead.
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to point that out.
Okay. Please cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on, 6.2.1 C21-2020, Carroll's 4310 Waverly Road.
The proposal is to allow a temporary additional dwelling consisting of a mobile home in a agricultural limited zone. Again, notices were sent out to surrounding properties, sent to the McDonald-Rechat Planning District, Rechat Public Works Manager, Building Inspector, Council, and Fire Chief. Was posted on site, also on the municipal board and municipal website, and sent via the Connect system as well.
Thank you very much. I'll open up the public hearing at 7:08 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone online wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone in the council chambers wishing to speak in favor?
No, there is not.
Anything received in favor?
Nothing received.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone wishing to speak against online? Anyone wishing to speak against that's in person?
No, there isn't.
Anything received against?
Nothing received against.
Thank you. Okay, I'll give it one last call. Anyone wishing to speak in favor or against? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing at 7:09 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk?
Thank you, second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Councillor Pelletier seconds it.
Okay, the resolution will read, therefore be resolved that conditional use application C21-2020 for a temporary additional dwelling is approved subject to the following conditions. One, applicant must obtain a building permit from the RM office. Two, the applicant must submit a mobile home permit application to the RM office. Three, the mobile home must have a current CSA label. Four, the applicant must obtain all necessary permits from Manitoba Conservation and Climate for the holding tank and cistern. Five, the conditional use shall expire in 20 years. If the applicant would like to extend the deadline at any time, they must apply for a new conditional use. If the deadline is not extended, the mobile home must be removed within 30 days of the said expiry. Six, if the mobile home is no longer needed for the use applied for herein before the 20-year deadline is reached, the mobile home must be removed within 30 days of the date it is no longer in use. 7, if yard lighting is to be used, the applicant shall ensure that lighting levels do not cause any disruption or a nuisance to the neighboring area or affected roadways. 8, that the applicant shall maintain the site and surrounding area in an orderly fashion so it does not become unsightly. And 9, that the applicant shall provide a signed confirmation letter accepting the terms of this order. There may be site audits conducted to ensure compliance, and any non-compliance issue may be caused to revoke the conditional use at any time.
Thank you. I will open it up for discussion from council. Any comments or questions?
Nothing from here.
Not here.
Okay, seeing none, I will call for the question.
Resolution is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on. Item 6.2.2 C22 2020 Brosner 1908 and 1914 Carrier Road.
The proposal is to allow a home industry consisting of a pet grooming salon in a rural residential zone. Notices were sent out to the surrounding properties, McDonald-Richot Planning District, the Public Works Manager, Building Inspector, Council, and Fire Chief. It was posted on site, as well as the municipal board and municipal website. Was also sent through the Connect system, but only via text, as the email did not work. So still meeting the full requirements of the Planning Act.
Thank you very much. I'll open up the public hearing at 7:12 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Anyone online wishing to speak in favor? Anyone in person wishing to speak in favor?
Yes, there is.
Come on down.
You can try that a bit more. Yeah, I'll just get it closer. Okay. I'm Nicole Rosner, and I'm hoping to open just a small little salon so I can do one-on-one pet grooming right on my property that we just recently purchased.
Perfect. Council, do you have any questions for the applicant?
You said you just purchased the land. I don't know if it's relevant, but I'm just curious, when did you purchase the property?
October 1st.
Oh, just, okay. I have another question. Do you have an anticipation of, and this might be in your business plan, I did read it, but I read it last week. So do you have an anticipated amount of traffic that you think will be coming on a daily basis to your residents?
Yeah, typically I do about 5 dogs in a day, 5 days a week. Some of those days though I will be doing what I already do, which is house calls, so I'll be going to their house. So you're looking at about 3 days a week, about 5 dogs coming in.
Did somebody catch that whole answer and try to relay it? Because it was cutting in and out for me, so I didn't really get the whole gist.
I believe she said that she had five dogs a day, and then she does in-home servicing as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Just a couple of questions from me. I'm just looking through some of the letter of oppositions, and they have some good points. I'm wondering if you would be willing to agree to some of these when we go to the resolution or the conditional use. One of them was, are you willing to keep it to just one groomer so that it doesn't expand and become a nuisance in traffic, turning it into a business area instead of a residential?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then another comment I have, or question I guess, is are are you okay with it having maybe in the conditional use where it's only a grooming facility, not a kennel or boarding site, or a doggy daycare, pet daycare, whatever you want to call it?
Yes, I don't want, yeah.
Okay, no, that's good. That's what I wanted to know. Does anyone else from council have any questions?
I have a question regarding, if this doesn't go through, have you looked at alternate property? Like there's some commercial zones to the south of Grand Point, where there's small pods for these starter up business type things. I just want to know if you've investigated those types of areas as well.
I have not, because currently I do house calls too, so that's my ultimate backup plan, is just continue with what I'm currently doing with going to
Oh, okay.
people's homes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. No other comments from council. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anything received in favor?
Nothing received.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against? Is there anyone in person wishing to speak against?
No, there is not.
So I see some letters of objections and opposition received. Has council reviewed these? I'm just curious because I'm wanting to know if we should review all of them out loud or if we can just talk about the points made. I've reviewed them all myself and they look like traffic and no business in the area is the main concerns. But does council want the CEO to read them all out?
It doesn't matter to me, Mr. Mayor.
I've read through all the letters myself.
I think I might, I'm not sure. They're kind of lengthy, I guess. It just might help the applicant understand their residents around.
That's a fair point. Mr. CEO, feel free to begin reading the letters.
Okay, thank you. We did receive 8 letters of objection, so I'll try to go through these as quickly as possible. From Charlene Wright, I live at 1907 Adelard, which is directly behind the proposed site requested at 1914 Carrier. I am 100% in opposition of this request and do not want a business operating in this location, as this has a potential to create numerous negative effects on the living conditions of my family and other families in the area. The lots in this area are zoned as residential and therefore should not be allowed. There are industrial commercial zones in the RM that are designated for this purpose. In addition, there is only one way in and out of this area, so the increase in traffic would affect more than just the 5 lots identified on the notice. So in my opinion, it shouldn't have been sent out to everyone that would affect it on Carrier Road. Carrier Road is already in terrible conditions. I can only imagine how much worse it would get with all the increased traffic with the business this would create. Second letter from Marcel and Carol Saint-Laurent. We have been residents of Grand Point on Carrier Road for over 38 years. Watching this area grow from 20 residents to the over double that today, it has been great to look back and see all the changes in the last 3 decades. We are not opposed to growth. Many residential homes have built, and this brings many families, which in turn increases vehicle traffic. Since we live on the main road and this being the only road into the area, we see firsthand more and more traffic. Some residents may have 3 or 4 vehicles, and some vehicles are making multiple trips per day up and down Carrier. We are therefore objecting to council approving the proposal to allow home industry consisting of a pet grooming salon at 1914 Carrier Road due to the increase in traffic directly on Carrier Road. We already have a large volume of traffic at various speeds that surpasses the residential speed limits at times, not to mention the increased wear and tear of the road, which we already know is in bad shape and needs constant maintenance and patching of potholes several times a year. If I remember correctly, when this property was initially sold after the property owner's sudden passing, it was said that once ownership transferred to a new owner, there could never be another business operating from that location, and that any existing business would be grandfathered. Thank you for your consideration. Third letter from D. Lamont. We are opposed because there has been a bedroom community. Business applications are not acceptable, even though there has been numerous businesses started without approval, such as Kenny Lane Auto Body Shop expansion and Klippenstein, both on Carrier Road. We do not need the excessive traffic in our community, especially on Carrier Road. We all know the condition that the road is in. We do not want to see strangers and their pets coming into our neighborhood. Letter number 4 from Debbie and Jason Kolaski. To whom it may concern, the application for a home grooming business is a concern if it expands to more than one groomer. The traffic on Carrier is busy now, and if they expand to more than one groomer, we would be opposed to the business. There should be a bylaw or a note of no future expansion or limit to one groomer working. Fifth letter is from Chris and Caitlin Heeman. We are opposed to the home of 1914 Carrier Road opening a pet grooming salon. One of the main issues we have with this is that it would create excessive traffic that will be brought to the neighborhood throughout the days and evenings during the week and weekends. There are many young kids growing up in the neighborhood, including my own, and excessive traffic would make it unsafe to be outside on the only paved road nearby, including to get to the mail. We are also concerned this could turn into a boarding house for pets, which would bring an increase in unwanted noise. More traffic will just make them worse. Increasing the maintenance of these roads will end up being the home owners in the neighborhood burden. I kindly appreciate the careful consideration of these major concerns. Letter number 6 from Rob and Judy Harper. My wife and I live at 1867 Carrier Road. We are both adamantly against the proposal. One, this is a residential area that already has a few illegal businesses that no one seems to want to do anything about, and we don't feel that even they should be allowed to continue. 2, there is only one road to get in and out of the area, and we have many houses in this area. The road is already in very poor condition and should not be forced to handle extra traffic. 3, the building they want to do the grooming is very large, and we find it hard to believe that they only want to do pet grooming. Almost all these places like this now also do boarding as well as doggy daycare. This would be far too much for a residential area. 4, if you allow one person to do this, how would you be able not to allow anyone else who comes along and wanted to run a business out of their house? Now is the time to take a stand and say no to businesses in the area. It is residential. There are other areas in Grand Point that are suited for this type of business. It should be in a commercial or retail area. We would also like to know why we weren't contacted about this proposal. We know your rules stated that you have notified residents within 100 meters of the proposed location, but we feel that all residents who must use Carrier Road to access their home should have been identified, because this could impact any of the residents in this area. 7 from G. Rubidou. We are opposed because this has always been a bedroom community. Business applications are not acceptable. Even though there have been numerous businesses started without approval, such as Kenny Lane Auto Body expansion and Klippenstein, both on Carrier Road, we do not need the excessive traffic in our community, especially on Carrier Road. We all know the condition that the road is in. We do not want to see strangers and their pets coming into the neighborhood. I think that one is a carbon copy to one that I've already read. Last but not least, Val Fourneau. Council members, with regards to the conditional use application and the request to allow pet grooming salon, I would like to voice my concerns with reference to the potential addition additional traffic on Carrier Road. I have lived on Beauchemin Road for 38 years, so this is not the first time a request of this type has been addressed. Personally, my issue is with traffic stems from our access to a neighborhood that has grown exponentially over my time here and is now a wonderful area for seniors like myself and the new families just starting out. But we only have one access road in and out of our community of about plus or minus 50 properties. A minimum of 100 vehicles with one way out. A second access route to Burnett would greatly improve our being able to leave in the area in an emergency situation if Carrier was blocked off for some reason. Carrier is our main street, and the fact that it is unpaved is truly incomprehensible. A wider paved road would improve traffic flow, especially in winter. I've been stuck on Carrier at one area where the ditch is steep. We're pulling over the snow for snow plow. Also, potholes consistently being filled. Traffic is becoming a serious issue in the neighborhood. Thank you for listening. And that is it. Mr. Mayor, you are muted.
Yes, I'm on mute there. I just talked for about 3 seconds. Yeah, so I will just open it up if there's anyone wishing to speak in regards to the comments, the applicant specifically, or anyone else online. One last call if anyone wants to say anything. Dominic, yes, no?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm Stephen. I'm Nicole's partner who's looking to open up this business. We feel that it is kind of within kind of the confines of a truly a small kind of home-based business. However, we very much appreciate hearing the concerns from our neighbors, and we do really want to get to know the neighbors more. One thing I wanted to mention is Nicole's already received a text message from someone seeing the sign, and I know this is just anecdotal, but kind of showing their interest in the potential business that could be there. Addressing the concern specifically of the large building that this business will be in, the majority of the business will be, the majority of the building will be for personal use only. There are 2 small offices in the corner of the building, approximately 300 square feet, which will consist of the grooming operation for Nicole only. Appreciate any more questions or concerns. We'd be happy to address them.
Councilor, do you have any final comments for the applicants?
No, none here.
No? Okay, thank you. I'll close the public hearing at 7:28 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Second?
Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you.
Okay, the resolution would read, therefore be resolved that conditional use application C22-2020 is approved subject to the following conditions. For the home industry use, the applicant shall comply with section 5.2 of the zoning bylaw 9-2019. 2, the proposed use shall not create undue traffic or congestion in the neighborhood. 3, if yard lighting is to be used, the applicant shall ensure that lighting levels do not cause any disruption or a nuisance to the neighboring area or affected roadways. 4, that the use shall be incidental to or secondary to the principal use of the dwelling unit. 5, that the applicant shall comply with municipal noise bylaw 14-2003. 6, that the hours of operation shall be between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. 7, that the applicant shall provide for a minimum of 2 parking spots for the home industry. 8, the applicant must apply for and obtain a building permit for any required renovations from the municipal office. 9, the maximum space to be used for the home industry must not exceed over 1,000 square feet. 10, that the applicant is responsible for complying with all workplace safety and health regulations and any other applicable authorities. 11, that the applicant shall provide a signed confirmation letter accepting the terms of this order. There may be site audits conducted to ensure compliance, and non-compliance issues may be caused to revoke the conditional use at any time.
Thank you. I'll open it up for council debate, discussion, comments, concerns.
I just want to make a comment about home-based businesses in Grand Point. The surrounding neighbors do have a good point, and I know it's just not those surrounding neighbors. I've heard it multiple times from everybody in Grand Point. It's a bedroom community, and they don't want to encourage home-based businesses because we've got 2-acre lots. It's very appealing to open a business because you got space, but the reason people are on 2 acres is to get away from the business aspect of the city. So those people that have been there for 38 years, 40 years, they've got it right. You know, this is a bedroom community, and even though I understand this will be minimal impact on the area, I truly believe that with five cars a day, and I don't see that being an issue, but sorry about that, my dog. It just opens it up for other people to want to do similar things. And then next thing you know, we've got little pockets of business in the area, which is what I don't think Grand Point was intended to be.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. I appreciate that. One thing I will say is I'm very pro-business. I think council and the residents of Richmond know that. Having said that, yeah, I share the same concerns, but to play my own devil's advocate, kind of my belief is, well, if we don't look at this and maintain and control what can be done there, a lot of these small businesses will operate without coming to Richmond. And that was one of my biggest pushes, was to be open and honest about what you're doing in the area. So not only you can promote it legally, but we can help you as a resident and business owner thrive as much as possible. So I don't want to ever turn businesses away, but I do understand and sympathize for the residents in that area. I think this is a pretty small outfit, and I think if we can add some of the clauses in there that I discussed earlier with the applicants, where it's one groomer, there's no dog kenneling, there's no daycare opportunities, and then we can also always look at the expiration of conditional uses every 5 years so that they can come back, so we can almost examine what's been going on. I think that's the opportunities as well to maintain and control small businesses like this in a residential area. Just some of my opinions. If council's comfortable with those additions, I would like to see them, and if not, please speak your mind.
Yeah, it all boils down to the ever-ending question: who's going to monitor it, right? And we just don't have that capacity to go to these places all the time to monitor what's going on. And I guess the residents around would monitor, but it is a lot of headache for residents and the business owner. Like there was a few comments on the letters about illegal businesses on that street, Kenny Lang and Klippenstein. I know for a fact that Kenny Lang has moved his business to the industrial area just for those reasons, because it was not worth the headaches that he was getting. He still runs his personal race car out of his residence on Carrier, but his business is actually in the industrial area. So just with these many residents in opposition, I feel for this new applicant, because they're not going to be welcome doing what they're doing.
Well, that's valid. Anyone else on council?
For me, the conditional use is there for this purpose. They've come to us to do this legitimately, unlike some of their neighbors in the past, obviously. I hope they know that their neighbors don't hate them, but there's a lot of history there with a lot of 20, 30, 40-year people there that have seen a lot of less than stellar things going on. I think current council is on the right track with cleaning up some of these issues that we're having with these businesses operating in places that they shouldn't be. And I'd like to continue seeing us enforce that and pushing for compliance on that. As far as this one goes, 5 more cars a day isn't going to make a difference on Carrier Road. There's no opportunity there to put any more houses. So this would be the only other 5 cars on the road a day on this one. My opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else on council?
Not here.
Okay, so council, I'm just curious, are you wanting to see the additions that I would like to make where there's only an operator owner, no employees, as well as, what was the other one I wanted to make? The expiration thing, which I think we've talked about in planning before, where we start looking at expiring it every 5 years. And then only a dog grooming facility can be in part of the conditional use.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just as a point of order, if you wish to add these extra conditions, they are not on the resolution. So what I would recommend that is that you would have a mover and seconder to amend the resolution to add these clauses. And for voting, unfortunately, I can't do it from our system, so it would have to be a show of hands. So if that's what council needs to want, if you want them to entertain those extra points, we would have to get a mover seconder.
Okay, thank you. So I will at this point ask for a mover to amend the current resolution to add those additional points. Do I have a mover?
Counselor Mamchuk,
Councillor Mamchuk moves it. Second.
Councillor Belzig.
Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll open it back up for discussion. Or Mr. CEO, did you want to say something?
Yeah, and the conditions that need to be debated and voted on are 1 groomer, no doggy daycare or boarding, no employees, and it would expire after 5 years, correct?
That's my understanding. I know that we're looking into a long-term strategy for these expiration dates, but I think at this point we will continue doing it one by one if council's okay with that. Yep, then yes, that's it.
Yep. Okay, so please debate those comments.
Thank you. Okay, council, any debate or discussion on those points?
Mr. Mayor or Mr. CEO, would this be, this grooming square footage, would that be taxed as commercial as well?
Yes, we would make a note for the assessment branch to capture the business and assess the 300 square feet or whatever it is that they are using for the pet grooming business as a commercial tax.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just, I have some concerns with being, too involved with businesses and starting to, restrict or allow certain aspects of it. But I guess I side with the mayor on this, and after listening to the council Belanger too, and residents of the street, yeah, maybe we should be looking at the conditional use. That's all.
Okay, I appreciate that. So Mr. CEO, before I call for the vote, are we just voting on the amendments that we're looking at, or both?
At this point, I would suggest that you vote on the amendments only.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will vote currently on the amendments only. Please, by show of hands or voice, all those in favor.
In favor, Councilor Mamchuk?
Thank you. All those
In favor, Councilor
Okay.
Clayton.
None opposed. So that is a 5-0 in favor.
Okay, so now those conditions will be part of the original statements that I've read. So now you could debate that as a whole.
Okay.
Thank you.
Going back into the whole mix of things. Council, did you have any further things to add or any debate you wanted to make before we cast our votes?
I just want to make a comment. I got a call from a resident regarding, she thought that years ago there was a bylaw or a policy put in place for Grand Point to not allow home-based businesses in the area whatsoever. So I just want to make a comment that I did investigate that, and no such bylaw has been found or filed with the RM. So like I said, I just wanted to do a comment.
No, I appreciate that. In case anyone watches this later on, we can show you've done your due diligence, and I appreciate that, Councillor Boulanger. Okay, then I will call for the question. Please go back online and cast your vote on item 6.2.2, correct?
Correct. The vote is carried 3-2. The 2 against are Councillors Boulanger and Councillor Manchuk.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 6.2.3, C23-2020, Bennett, 373 Hebert Road, St. Adolphe.
This is to allow a home-based business, non-for-profit, consisting of a small metal fabrication shop in a residential general 8,000 RG8 zone to be used as a part-time basis for therapeutic purposes. Notices were sent out to surrounding properties, to McDonald-Richard Planning District, to the Public Works Manager, Building Inspector, Councils and Fire Chief. It was also posted on the municipal board, municipal website, as well as the case in St. Adolphe and the ESSO in St. Adolphe. Also sent out via Connect by text only. Again, emails issues with our Connect system at that time.
Thank you. Before I open the public hearing, I have a comment or question for the CAO. I guess it's in order. There is a letter of objection by a resident who would like to stay anonymous. My understanding of a public hearing is that we are to announce and they are to post their name and that they're a member of Richard, whatever it is. So I'm wondering if we A, strike it off of the letters of objection, or B, how we go about doing something like this where it's anonymous.
Unfortunately, when it comes to planning matters, it is required that it cannot be anonymous. So therefore, we need to either reject or ignore the letter. I do believe the planning person did reach out to this individual, made contact and explained that to them, and we have not heard from them since.
Okay, then I will, as long as council is okay with it, as chair, I'll make the decision to strike that letter of objection off. I won't be given the name, but council can see them now, and that will not be part of the public hearing.
This is Councillor Mamchuk. I do agree with that.
Thank you. Okay, then I will open up the public hearing at 7:43 p.m. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone online wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone in person wishing to speak in favor?
Okay. The applicant is here, but he doesn't have anything further to add, only if you have questions for him.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps maybe, does council have any current questions, or do they want to wait till we read the other in favors or opposition letters before we have any questions or comments for the applicant to answer?
Yes.
Okay, we will wait, so I appreciate it. Just hang on a second. We might have questions for you after everything's been gone through. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? For me. Anything received in favor?
Yes, received one email from Don Dupuis. I'm writing in support of the above application for conditional use at 373 Hebert Road, St. Adolphe, Manitoba. I have spoken with Mr. Bennett on the proposed use of the property. I understand that this is not for-profit activity that will be used as a form of therapy for military veterans, police, first responders, and firefighters. I view this as a very positive activity in the neighborhood, and that I am confident it will not be a detriment to the neighborhood.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak against? Is there anyone online wishing to speak against? Is there anyone in person wishing to speak against?
No, there is not.
I see now this is the time where we have 3 letters of objections. Mr. CAO, you will just read the 2 letters of objections from A. Johnston and Burnett, correct?
Let me look at the agenda here.
We have
3 letters.
Yes, we have 3 letters, but one of them was wanting to be anonymous. As I discussed earlier, we are striking that one off. That is the very first letter that we have. There's no numbers on it, unfortunately, but I won't say the name because they wish to stay anonymous.
Okay, so Johnson and Burnett are the ones to read?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So therefore, I will proceed with those 2. First letter from Bill and Cheryl Johnston. Good morning. This email is to inform the RM of Reachot Council that we are opposed to the application for conditional use file 23-2020 to allow a home-based metal fabricating shop to operate in the residential area. Our opinion is that this is a business that should be operated in a commercial or industrial area based on the nature of the business that would involve a lot of noise, such as grinding, hammering, and cutting of metal. Whether it be large, small, full-time, or a part-time business is irrelevant when it will be a business that would disturb the peace of our neighborhood year-round, but most of all during the summer months, which are so short. Hopefully, council will act responsibly and take the surrounding neighbors into consideration when they make their decision. The second letter is from Janice Burnett. This email is to inform the RM of Reachot that we are opposed to the application to allow a home-based business metal manufacturing shop to the area. Our opinion is that this is a business that should operate in a commercial lot or industrial based on the nature of the business that would involve a lot of noise, such as grinding, hammering, and cutting of metal. Whether it be small, large, full-time, part-time business is relevant when it will be a business that would disrupt our peace of the neighborhood year-round, but most of all during the summer months, which are so short. Hopefully, council will act responsibly and take surrounding neighbors into consideration when the decision to make their decision. And I think that's a carbon copy.
It is. Okay, is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor or against, or any general comments? Mr. Applicant, now is the time. If you have any comments to add in recognition of the opposed letters, you may do so.
If there's any concerns, actually, it's going to be right now? Okay, good. That's fine. If there's any concerns going on right now, as I can say, it's going to be kept in a small area there. As per the pamphlet I've given, there's going to be major concerns done towards sound noise. It's only going to be operating for roughly 4 hours a day, and that's going to be at very small levels. There'll be no more than 2 to 3 people in there. It's only going to be run for 3 days a week. And as well, again, like I said, I put into consideration of having 2x6 framing with rock salt insulation for the increased noise absorption. I put insulated sounds, I put insulated concrete layering in, so it actually helps absorb vibrations. And again, the noise that's going to be made is no more than when I'm out there on my own working or doing hobby shops on the weekend, whether I'm building a shop or whether I'm playing with something in my fence yard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bennett. And I didn't say this earlier, but I do want to thank you for your service as a Canadian veteran. I appreciate that very much. Council, do you have any comments to add? Questions to ask?
None at this time.
Okay, thank you very much for your time and patience. I will do one final call. Anyone wishing to make comment, questions? Okay, I will close the hearing at 7:49 p.m. Do I have a mover?
Councilor Mamchuk.
Second?
Councilor Blanchet.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the resolution would read, therefore be resolved, the conditional use application C23-2020 to allow a metal fabrication shop as a home-based business is approved, subject to the following conditions. Applicant shall ensure that this use is not noxious, offensive, or hazardous by any reason or of emissions or production of odor, dust, refuse matter, waste, vapor, gas, smoke, vibration, or noise, and that this use shall not create a nuisance beyond the property sight line. 2, the applicant shall not cause the generation of undue traffic and congestion in the neighborhood. 3, that there shall be no outdoor storage of hazardous goods or substances. 4, that the applicant shall comply with the municipal noise bylaw 14-2003. 5, that the hours of operation shall be between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. 6, that all work shall be performed within the proposed building. 7, that the applicant shall maintain the site and surrounding area in an orderly fashion so it doesn't become unsightly. 8, the conditional use shall expire in 5 years, at which time the applicant shall reapply for a new conditional use if they wish to continue the business use. 9, that the applicant ensures that this complies with the building codes, fire codes, and provincial permits as may be required. Applicant may retain an engineer, architect, or other professionals knowledgeable in this field to ensure compliance. 10, that the applicant is responsible for complying with all workplace safety and health regulations and any applicable authorities. 11, the space devoted to the business must not exceed 20% of the total floor area of the primary dwelling, or 300 square feet, whichever is the lesser. 12, all storage shall be indoors. 13, any signage shall comply with the municipal zoning bylaw 9-2019, section 11. And 14, that the applicant shall sign a confirmation letter accepting the terms of this order. There may be site audits conducted to ensure compliance. Any non-compliance issues may be caused to revoke the conditional use at any time.
Thank you very much. I'll open it up for debate from council. Council, do you have any comments, debate, or discussion?
This is Councillor Mamchuk. I don't know too much about this kind of business, but from what I gather, it can be actually a very loud noise because you're talking about metal here that you're forging. So I don't know if he's only going to do 3 days a week, but that could be still quite annoying to some of the neighbors. So would he be doing it all indoors as the saying on the terms here?
Yeah, I question that too, Councillor Mamchuk. I just want to say for anyone in the council chambers now, we do not talk or speak with the public. This is just council debate. So yeah. I do appreciate you, anyone getting up to speak, but unfortunately now it's just for council. Yeah, I agree, Councillor Mamchuk. Having said that though, I think we do have bylaws with noise, to do with noise in Rickshot that states that they can operate, from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I believe that's our noise bylaw. So yeah. I think that's taken into consideration. I personally don't see it being a big issue, especially if it's 3 days a week. It's a small space that he's using. It's a one-man operation. I don't know how loud it can really be. We see heavy equipment operators and roads being reconstructed throughout the days in the summer. So again, I don't think this would be a big burden, but that's just my personal opinion. Does the rest of council have any comments?
I just have a question for Mitch maybe. So the first point says applicant shall ensure that this use is not noxious, offensive, blah, blah. So moving on, the business gets up and running and it is noxious and offensive with odor, dust, noise during the day and all those things. The neighbors then complain, and because this is kind of in breach of the conditional use, what is the process for moving forward with the complaints after this has been allowed?
If there are complaints that come through, the first step would be to send our bylaw enforcement officer to ensure that there's compliance. And if in his opinion that there is compliance, it's a dead issue. If there is non-compliance, then he is to write up an order to rectify the situation. If it's not, then he will enforce it. The applicant, as we know, has that right to appeal to council And then at the end, council will decide on that process. If it is still ongoing after the fact, after that, then it becomes not a legal matter. If he wishes to comply and shut it down, then so be it. But if they don't, then it's a legal matter, and then we send it to the courts to take care of.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion from council?
Just to be clear, though, the conditional use is just for the operation of a business. He could have just put his own forge in there and done this without a conditional use. The only reason he's come to council is because he's doing a home-based business, a nonprofit at that. 3 hours a day. He could bang on that 10 hours a day by himself with a power hammer, and we couldn't say anything if it was a personal use. Again, there's a business coming to be legit with us. I'm for it.
No, I agree. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I will call for the vote. Please cast your vote, council. On item 6.2.3. Yep.
The vote is carried 4-1. Councillor Manchuk was opposed.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'll ask if council would like to take a break before we go back to the standard agenda items.
Yes,
That'd be a
please.
good idea.
Okay, we'll take a 3-minute break. Thank you everyone for attending. You don't have to stay anymore, but if you'd like to watch, feel free.
Dominic, could you stop recording, please?
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good evening again, everyone. We're back in session at 8:02 p.m. We are moving back to item, scroll back up here, 3, adoption of minutes. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk?
Second?
Councillor Blanchet?
Thank you.
Okay, last meeting was October 6th, regular council meeting, at which point we gave third reading to our WMR fiber optic project. Also, we started the warranty process at the Grand Point Meadows in Grand Point. Council also passed a drain tile application and also the Manitoba Water Services Board funding for the Sanigat Lagoon study, and as well as part to do with the Ile des Chênes Lagoon as well.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion on this? Seeing none, council, please cast your vote.
That vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4, committee reports and minutes. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet?
Second?
Councillor Mamchuk?
Thank you very much.
Councillors Pelletier, Boulanger, and Clayton have reported on their individual committees. One quick comment on Councillor Clayton's report. I love the new logo that the Real Park is going with, the Cheyenne Park. The sign looks good.
Yeah, that's big changes happening over there.
Yeah, very cool. Any discussion or comments from council on these? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
That is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 5.1, accounts paid to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk?
Second? Trying to get Councillor Clayton in there. but-
Councillor Clayton.
There we go.
I should use the telegram. It might be quicker. I'm having a rough time here.
We have one batch total of $274,400. The biggest check in there is regarding that fiber optic project of $250. The remaining are small individual amounts. No concerns at my end.
Any comments or discussion from council? No? Okay, please cast your vote.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on, 5.2, accounts not paid to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Mamchuk,
Thank you. Second?
Councillor Pilcher.
Thank you very much.
The one batch totaling $233,500. I'm not going to go into details. The CFO has provided a report to council and which summarizes quite well the invoices that were received.
Councillor, are there any questions or concerns? Nope, seeing that, please cast your vote.
Councillor Clayton, I can't vote on that right now, but I vote in favor.
Thank you.
I do have another question for staff later, but it doesn't affect paying the bill.
Okay,
Did you
that
want
is carried 5-0 based on Councillor Clayton's voice.
Councillor Phelps, did you want to ask the question before we moved on?
No, I'll bring that up later.
Okay, 5.3, payroll to be approved. Do I have a mover?
Councillor
Mamchuk,
Belanger.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you. Councillor Mamchuk moved it. Councillor Belanger seconds it. Councillor Clayton tried.
That was actually for the last one.
Okay, we have one payroll, basically biweekly payroll 21, which covers employees from September 27th to October 10th, still into the construction season for Public Works. Some overtime, but nothing major to report.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call for the question.
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 5.4, third quarter financial report. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Second?
I think I heard Councillor Clayton.
I didn't hear him. It was Councillor Peltier.
Thanks so much for that.
Councillor Peltier seconds it.
Sorry, my bad. Our CFO was able to produce a report for council based on our third quarter numbers as we stand. So you have his presentation there. We did sit down afterwards and took a look at our forecasting and our anticipated revenues moving forward, including the daycare rentals to come in. Based on those numbers, we do anticipate a balanced budget or being very close to the zero mark. So things will be tight, and we will continue to monitor our progress for the financials.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from council?
Yeah, Councillor Clayton, I just got a quick one here. I appreciate the report. It's very well done. So thank you for that. I know you said that we're going to be balanced, which is fantastic. If you go to page 7 and we look at total expenditures, you know, basically we're end of Q3, right? So in theory, we should have 25% of the budget remaining. We've got 29.84. So the way it looks right now is that we're under budget. Is Q4 usually an expensive time of year for the RM, getting caught up on year-end billing, that sort of thing?
Yeah, don't let the percentages fool you. There are still quite a few dollars for construction for public works to come in, but in turn, not all our revenues or grants are in as well. There's also reserve transfers to be done based on projects. So we may have a lot of expenditures on road construction projects that the monies didn't come into the bank or into the good as revenues. So there's going to be a lot of shifting around between now and then. So as I said, just forecasting, looking at all those variables, I think we will be on target. So the 29% is a guideline, not hard fact, if that makes any sense.
Thank you. Yeah, very clear.
Perfect. Any other final comments here? Council, please cast your vote.
Just that I appreciate it. Looks good.
Yeah, glad it's not me doing it.
Next quarter, Janine.
Yeah, are we taking turns?
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Skipping all the way to item 7.1, bylaw 10-2020, code of conduct for council members, second reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Clayton.
Wow,
Woo!
second.
Councillor Boulanger.
Councillor Boulanger seconds it.
Okay, catching up here, folks. Okay, thank you. Yes, this is in regards to second reading of the code of conduct. There's no changes or amendments being made to the first reading, so my recommendation is to continue with second reading.
Perfect. Council, do you have any comments to add or questions? Seeing none, I will call for the question.
Councillor Clayton will have to vote verbally on this one, and I vote in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Therefore, that is carried 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 7.2, bylaw 10-2020, code of conduct for council members, third reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Belzé.
Thank you.
Nothing more to report.
Thank you. Any final comments? Last call. Please cast your vote.
The vote is carried 5-0. And thank you to council, and we hope to continue to play nice in the sandbox.
Hope is the key word. Moving on to 7.3, bylaw 11-2020, reduced speed school zones, second reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Belzé.
Thank you.
Just, oh, not this one. I don't believe that there's been any changes since the last time we first read this bylaw, and this again as a reminder to council is to implement a reduced school zone for the École Île des Chênes on Dotey. We are going 30 meters to the north and to the south of the property line that borders Dotey from the school.
Thank you. I'll open it up for discussion. Council, anything to add?
Just that it's not marked on the map. I thought I saw one with the green line on it, so I don't know if we're missing one of the maps with Dotey on it. I know it's in the bylaw itself, it's written out. It just, I don't see the green line on this thing.
I do have a map that shows it in yellow, so once council adopts it, we'll highlight the whole thing as green.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, council, please cast your vote.
That's carried 5-0.
Thank you. 7.4 bylaw 11, 2020, reduced speed school zones, third reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Second.
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you very much.
Again, once this is passed, I'll be instructing Public Works to put up the proper signage and also notifying the school of the changes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seal. I'll open up for final debate discussion. Seeing none, I'll call for the question.
Sorry, Councillor Boulanger, still waiting for your vote. This is not appearing here.
That's too bad.
Straight up.
Because it went through, it's not allowing me to do it again. So yes, I'm in favor.
Thank you. Carried 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to 7.5 bylaw 12, 2020 speed limits within the municipality, second reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Councillor Clayton.
Thank you. Councillor Clayton seconds.
Okay. The two biggest changes, just to bring council back to memory here, is in regards to Ile des Chênes on the old 59. We're looking at doing a 60-kilometer zone on the old 59, 300 meters just south of Dumaine and running up north to the North Link Road. The other changes are in the Grand Point area for Burnett Road. Burnett south of Oak Grove will be an 80 zone. North of Burnett will be a 60 zone, and Halima will be a 60 zone as well.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll open up for discussion. Council, anything to add?
I would actually like to make one change on that for Ile des Chênes.
Go ahead.
Habitat where it's marked in green from 70 to 50.
Any discussion on this from council? I did get a couple calls from residents in that area, and they do concur with that speed limit. As slow as I think that is, if it's appropriate and Councillor Pelletier feels appropriate, then I would agree.
So all of Habitat?
No, just where the green is from just south of Ash Lane to past the last driveway. Well, there's another lot past Cyril, so if we can do probably up to about where the B is.
Okay, so basically where the current green line is will be not, it will be changed from a 70 to 50.
Correct.
Gotcha. We will
Please.
make that change, both on the map and in writing.
Thank you.
That would be preferred.
Any other final changes?
No, I just want to make a comment about Burnett and Grand Point. I've been experimenting the last little bit. It's not terrible going 60 down there. If people need to get out earlier, there are several other accesses out straight east onto 59. So overall, I think it will not only reduce the speed, but reduce the traffic on Burnett, because people just won't take it as much.
Perfect. Thank you, Councillor Belanger. Would you like us to reduce to 10 kilometers an hour?
No.
Okay. Those are the adjustments and changes. Mr. CEO, you recorded that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I will call for the question.
And my apologies, I voted for this one last time. That's why you didn't get my vote. So,
Tisk.
do you have it this time or do I need to re-vote?
Vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 7.6, bylaw 12, 2020 speed limits within the municipality, third reading. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk,
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Blanchet.
Thank you. Mr. CEO, did you want to add anything or just the same as last time? Final call.
Nothing to add, the same as what you guys passed as second read.
Perfect. I'll make a final comment. I'm very excited to see this. I joke a little bit, but the reality is that there's some severe speed issues, and I look forward to seeing the changes. I had a great conversation with CBC Radio for about 15 minutes live today at noon, and I think the residents are going to be very happy to see the changes. Is there any other comments from council? And council, I appreciate you looking into each of your wards and your maps. You've done a great job, as well as the administration and public works for looking into it. So thank you, each and every one of you, for doing that. I will now call for the question.
Councillor Clayton again, I'll have to vote verbally, and I vote in favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Therefore, the vote is carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 8.1.1 National Francophone Immigration Week, November 1st to 7th, 2020. Do I have a mover?
Conseiller Pelletier.
Merci beaucoup. Second. Second.
Secondé is the proper term.
Secondé, merci beaucoup. Councillor Clayton, secondé.
Merci.
Okay, this is in recognition as the Association des Municipalités Bilingues Manitoba is asking for our support as a bilingual municipality to declare the week of November 1st to the 7th as National Francophone Immigration Week. This is to encourage the French language within our communities, within our province, within Canada. So on behalf of the IMBM, they are asking for our support on this resolution.
Okay, merci. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Is there any debate, discussion?
Rien d'ici.
Bien, merci beaucoup. C'est une belle initiative.
Is there usually events and stuff, but with COVID, nothing's probably going on, or is there anything that?
Yeah, so that's a great
takes
question.
place?
Yeah, that's a great question. So normally I believe they do a rotation throughout Canada where they go to a major city and they kind of have like a Francophone fest, I guess is the easiest way to put it. And it was supposed to come to Winnipeg, from my understanding, for 2020. And it was going to be quite the event. Unfortunately, because of COVID, nothing's happening. But we're hoping to get it again in the near future.
Very good.
très bien.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll call for the question.
La motion est adoptée 5-0. The motion is carried 5-0.
Merci beaucoup.
Bravo.
Moving on to 8.1.2, Animal Control Officer. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Blanchet.
Second.
Councillor Pelletier.
Councillor Pelletier seconds it.
This is more of a housekeeping item. We went back into our records and we noticed that we did not officially appoint by resolution a animal control officer. So this is to basically backtrack a little bit and cover our behinds and appoint that officer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Is there any discussion from council on this? No, seeing none, I'll call for the question.
Would Councillor Clayton? Oh, never mind. He's in.
I think it just went through, Mr. CAO.
Carried 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 8.1.3, September 2020 building permit reports. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Pelletier.
Thank you. Second.
Councillor Belanger.
Thank you very much.
Council has a report produced by our planning department. Number of permits in September for 2020 is 12, total value of 2.3 million in value, bringing in fees of just under $6,000. That is compared to 13 of permits of last year of a 1.5 in value. So total for 2020, we are at 150 permits, totaling just over $30 million, bringing in $90,000 of building fees, well ahead of 2019.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on this from council?
I have a question for Mr. CAO. With COVID prices on building, I can see people applying for permits and that, but maybe they might be holding back on actually building because the prices are so high. What is it a year that the building permit is good for and then they would have to reapply, or what's the expiration date on those?
I believe it is 1 year. Basically, they are coming in paying for their permits, so they are serious about moving ahead with construction.
Okay.
Anything else from council?
These are actual permits filled out and taken out and moving ahead. So
no, that's one thing. Like, you can get your permit, but then you can sit on it because it's just too expensive to build, right? So maybe people would be waiting, and I just wonder if maybe next year or whenever they come back, could they come back and maybe request an extension or something due to COVID? If they have to reapply.
Yeah, they do have that 1 year. The extension, I'm not sure. I would have to check with the planning department.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from council?
They're awesome numbers.
Yeah, I agree. I did another interview for Steinbach Online, and we were looking at the numbers, and absolutely amazing to see. So they always ask me, Chris, what's the magic that you have behind Rich Hot? And I really always say I have no idea what's going on here, but I think the reality is it's council, the admin, and everyone in between that's willing to work with developers, residents doing things to their yards. We're just open and ready for that kind of stuff. So on behalf of, I think, myself and all of council, I appreciate all of the work everyone's doing to make it as easily and readily available to improve Rich Hot. So thank you. You make me look good. Okay, I will call for the vote.
The vote is carried 5-0.
Perfect. 9 is just correspondence and information for council. Moving on to 11, adjournment. Do I have a mover?
Councillor Mamchuk.
Thank you. Second. Might be here all night.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. Councillor Clayton.
Thank you. Curtis, we've been closed for about 30 minutes now.
Yeah, I know.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, call for the question.
Councilor Wade's in favor.
He just wants to be here.
5-0.
Thank you very much. Okay, we close the meeting at 8:29 p.m. Good evening and thank you, everyone. Dominic, you can stop recording.